Yeah, welcome to Monday night's Patriot Nation News. I'm your host, the Cornbread Man, otherwise known as Dave in the AM. Hope you've had a great Monday. It's been a pretty good day. Weather has been beautiful here in our location. I hope it has been for you wherever you are viewing from or listening from. We are on Podbean, and we thank those Podbean folks who come in and communicate with us from all around the world. Really, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, X, Pickaxe, others. We appreciate you. It's been as I said, a good Monday. A lot of news. Hope you like the ocean scene. It may be a little too bright for my camera, but it is a nice evening scene if you can make those waves out. Make your day feel special. Hey broski, how you doing? This morning's news has altered slightly from this morning's, as the administration seems to be sending conflicting messages, at least from my point of view. That's not a pro or a shot or a dig or anything. It is that they're adjusting. There's a lot of pressure on. And the administration, being the president himself, has sent what I think are conflicting messages about the length of the potential continuation of the war with Iran. They're now acting as though it could wrap up very quickly, but holding open the door, so to speak, that there could be possibility of more action involving the new leader, the younger Khomeini. Report says that President Trump would back the killing of the younger Khomeini if he won't meet U.S. demands. He's not going to. Apparently this guy's he's much more radical than his father. And he looks a lot like him. If you've seen pictures, he looks a lot like him. Latest pictures. But nonetheless, I don't know what Israel will do, but according to the United States, they say there are rumors. There's sources, we'll say. Let's say a possibility of a week more, and we can wrap it up. I think it's going to be depending on several variables, and we can talk about that. But the war out of there. I would say the same thing, broski. He's not going to last very long because if he's talking the same rhetoric, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. And I said from the beginning, if we're going to do it, let's do it right. A clear mission statement. It's a little murky for me. Again, I know you don't roll all your eggs out of the basket and say, when we do this, then we stop. I get that. But the mission statement had some definites, and we've done that. The president is correct in that. We have totally annihilated their Navy. Check. We have totally annihilated their potential to fly sorties over Iran or anywhere else. Check. We have taken out, in conjunction with the Israelis, a lot of their leaders. Check. We have knocked out command and control. We've knocked out radar station, anti-aircraft. All that is totally knocked out. Check. Still left, as well as fuel depots, which apparently the United States didn't know Israel was going to hit. Still left are the drones and the missiles, which are still flying, and they're promising an onslaught, that being Iran. So they have elected the new leader. He is the son of Khomeini. We talked about his background a little bit this morning. From the expert of elders, or the whatever they were called. You're it, buddy. So what is the length? How long? 7th soldier has passed away from previous injuries in the original attack. Gas prices are rising. I think that has a lot to do with the changing messaging of the president. I think that, yes, there is that part of it. Thank you, broski. There is, make sure Iran does have nuclear capability. Was getting to that, but thank you for saying that. No, that's right. And he said that today, that we have, ensured that can happen. And make sure the new leadership is in agreement with that. Yes, that would be the proverbial, we're done. We're not going to do that anymore. I'm pretty sure they've knocked out. This doesn't mean they can't start over. It's going to take them a heck of a long time. Part of the work of these, probably, and I would say the bombing did a lot, but there's forces on the ground, certainly, who are making sure that those facilities are knocked out. They would like to get a hold of the enriched uranium, of course, because without that, then they could always do something if they have that, even if the capability to make more has been knocked out. for years, maybe decades. So that is part of that mission statement. Yes. Part of that mission statement also was that they couldn't wage war on the U.S. allies or bases in the area, that we would knock that out. And we've largely done that with the exception of the drones and the missiles. Pardon me. So he says we're largely wrapping up. The Israelis are not. The Israelis, and he even said we're not sure what their future plans are. I'm sure he has a good indication. He's not going to say that. They're going to be ongoing. I mean, we just know that it's going to be inflamed. They're threatening Israel. They've been bombing cities in Israel. There was some damage and some injuries. Matter of fact, today I think it was. Which now it's tonight over there, or even in the early morning hours. I think they're about 6 hours or 10 hours ahead of us or something in their time zone. Vladimir Putin has said that he will fully support his friends, basically the Iranians, and that he is not happy with what's happened. I'm paraphrasing, but that is what he has said, that he fully supports them, and he spoke against what is going on. The news today was that potential sleeper cells had been activated. Interesting statement that came out that they had intercepted a message that may have activated sleeper cells. We know they're here. And there's, to be on the lookout for that. What was curious about this message was that they intercepted, however they intercepted, was it was not to be received through telecommunications, not through computers. People would not be using computers to receive the message. They realized that the intel ability of America and Israel is second to none, in my opinion. And so how did they get that message out? What does that entail, and what kind of is that just smoke and mirrors? They believe that it is. That again, we believe every country has spies, every country has someone embedded to look at certain things, but I think that's a very real possibility, whether it will actually happen or not. If something was to happen here on a level that would anger the president, I would say we would definitely go in, ground forces into Iran. Some would say maybe that's a plan. Brodsky goes on to say, to achieve this, number one, completely decimate Iran's military. And it's not completely decimated. It's been hit really hard, not decimated. To wipe out their leadership until they find a leadership group that falls in line. And that is not complete, but has happened a lot. That there is leadership has been knocked out. If you get these religious, and I use that word very tenderly, I don't want to offend anybody, but these fanatics, they're religious fanatics, and they have said the guard has basically said we will sacrifice ourselves for the new leader. They have pledged allegiance to him to sacrifice themselves, which means we'll do whatever it takes to death to do it. We'll blow ourselves up. We'll do whatever whatever's needed to be done to get to fall in line. So, but if you get the mullahs out of the way, if you knock that largely out, then you probably are, you can get somebody in there that could probably do that. This is the problem that Ahmadinejad had. If you go back to him, come on in the show, little girl.
Why did you take me skating?
No, I can't take you skating, so I'm on a show. But anyway, so now be quiet. Little girls coming in, granddaughters. So you know how they need something or want something. It's not because they want to be on the show. So now they're scrounging for snacks.
Yeah.
But but the mullahs, Ahmadinejad, he got sideways with them, and the mullahs, they banished him. I'm surprised they didn't kill him, to be honest. I mean, he didn't stay in line, which he was fanatical himself, but he went sideways, with some different for different reasons, and they put him on the shelf. He was under house arrest. He's apparently dead now, but without knocking that group out, or largely knocking them out to the point, like you said, that they'll fall in line. I don't think that they're going to listen. I mean, they're willing to fight to the death. It's like trying to convince the Japanese, sending kamikazes out. Hey, let's surrender, and we know what happened there. The problem we have here's the problem: this is not Wars are ugly. We know that. The problem for the United States, I'll just say the United States, is that we have to be very careful because we want the Iranian people, the populace, the common man and woman, to have a country that is not promoting terrorism, not fighting their neighbors, and not shouting death to America or whatever, and have a better life, a productive life, a financially good life, whatever they've talked about. He's pretty much guaranteed this. I mean, even Lindsey's out there saying "Make Iran great again" and all that. Well, if you bomb too heavy, if you have a couple of bombs go stray, then you're blowing up people, and they will use that against us. And it's definitely a danger. So I think Israel has taken some chances with some of the strikes they did, and in Tehran with those oil depots, because the people were upset, and there were people on the ground that said, "I supported the Americans fully for what they're doing," and the Israelis, they said, "until I can't get gas in my car." I mean, that's the way people are. If the stores are empty, if the gas is too high, you can't get gas, rationing is going on, people get very upset. And, it's just not going to, that's the danger we have. So it's not like you can go in there and just carpet bomb Iran. So you have to be very strategic in how you're doing that. They're going to embed themselves, the Iranians, within the populace of major cities and try to protect themselves from harm. And so that's their playbook forever. So I think they have to be very careful with this. I just think that for us, Broski, I would say, and to others, a lot of people are very angry about this war, and I get that. But while we're there, let's accomplish the goals we have. A lot of them are fulfilled. I will say that to the president. I just wish he hadn't said unconditional surrender. He's talking some smack, and that's his way. I get it that, he'll take this guy out, and I get that too. But at some point, we're going to have to, I would say another initiative here, a part of the mission statement, number 3 or 5 or whatever we're at, is you got to have the shipping lanes open, because that affects world economy, including America. And we can't have a country rolling out. I mean, they're going to have to rebuild it, but it don't take much to get a little rubber boat and put some TNT in it, run out there and try to blow up a ship on a kamikaze run or something. So, they're going to have to set up something to protect that. I believe they're going to have to set up some sort of a base that is near the strait and just obliterate anything Iran is trying to throw at the shipping. We're going to have to keep a fleet in that area. We're going to have to. We have 11 of them. I just, you can rotate them, but I think that we're not going to say we got 2 in the region now, or maybe 3 now. We're going to have to keep 1 there just for things like that. People are not going to like that, but that's the only way. I mean, who else is going to take care of it? Who else is going to manage that? And that's true. We are, and that's not what people are going to want to hear. But if you're going to kind of keep the peace there, at least to the damage to a minimum, and keep the international shipping lines open and the oil flowing and everything else that's coming through those straits, who's going to do it? The UN's not going to do it. NATO's not going to do it. I mean, they don't care about that. Europe's not going to do it. The Arab nations themselves are not going to ensure that. There's too much there. They've got a loosely based coalition, but they could easily turn on each other. We have, and Russia and China, they're not going to do it. And we wouldn't want them doing it. Obviously, I think that we're going to have to keep a presence there, as you said, forever, at least as far as forever is. In my lifetime, we will have to. And that's what's going to happen here. So continue to knock out everything that you think is of military support, a source for them to use, and then begin to back out and get out of there, to at least back to the ships. No, we may even fly planes over. We may continue to do that. But another problem we have is how far does Israel take it? Because they're going to be heavy-handed here. This is their moment, their time to strike them down to a level that they're happy with, and that's going to be a lot more destruction than I think that we're happy with. I think what will happen if we don't? China will move in and run home. Yeah, that's exactly it. You are exactly right. That's what they're trying to do through the ports in Central and South America. They're trying to control, and this is their game plan. I mean, part of their overall game plan is military might and power and rule the world, but they're doing a lot of that through controlling markets, shipping, selling the goods and services. That's been their game plan forever. Sell it cheap, control that economy, and control all the major shipping, and buy up, everybody they can, and just by sheer numbers, crush the dollar and be the world leader truly, militarily, financially, all that. That's what they would like. So that's the part that gets in when people scream America first. And hey, I do. I want us to take care of America first. The problem is when you say that, then we get boxed in. And maybe that's somewhat possible. I still doubt it, but it's not possible with the debt that we have. It's not possible with that. It's too tied in. It's too much a part of what we're doing. I agree. Can't we blast a little bit of the strait a little open more? I mean, there's not some flat areas that we could just go ahead and bring the Corps of Engineers over there and create a wider lane, or create a new strait away from Iran. We'll have to take some land. Sorry, guys, you're going to have to give up a corridor here. We're going to run it, and we're going to build this. It's going to take us 10 years. We're going to build it through these three nations, and you're just going to like it. All because of your Iranian friends. Since we took out Iranian leadership, I wonder if this gives the green light to Russia to take out little Z. Very possibly. It's a good thought, meaning it's a good point, because we have, we're doing this. I mean, they could say the same thing. They could say the same thing that, he's a threat. We're not going to put up with it anymore. He's hit us inside of our country. We only went in there because he was making threats to our sovereign borders, and we're just not going. And Russian citizens, Russian-speaking Ukrainian citizens that were living in Ukrainian lands, who really wanted to be in. It's true. Some of those border cities, they really wanted to be in Russian hands. They don't like Ukraine. They don't like Zelensky. They wanted to. I'm not saying it's every single person, but by and large, some of those border cities were straight up. Crimea's like that. I'm not saying it's right what Russia did, but Crimea, it's Russian-speaking people, and they'd rather be under Russian rule than Ukrainian, which I can't blame them in a lot of ways because of some of the crap that Ukraine has pulled. Not that Russia doesn't, but being out that far, I'd say life is not bad, to be honest. It's not anywhere near the Kremlin, and, there's vacation spots and everything out there that all the Ruskies take. Probably not bad. I mean, Crimea, that's a military port, naval port, sailors everywhere. And then Ukraine still has Odessa, which always cracks me up. They have Odessa. We have Odessa, Texas. It just cracks me up. But he also said this. Let's see, because I want to go through each one of these because he said we may have sleeper cells. But there was some other news that come out about this. One of the things they said was the Israel-Iran war is the largest oil disruption in history as tanker traffic through the strait remains at a standstill. According to the Rapidan Energy Group, a leading energy market policy and geopolitical data and research firm, the war has disrupted about 20%. We've heard the number of the world's oil supply for 9 days and counting, more than double the previous record. By the way, at my local gas station, it was slightly over $3 a gallon. We've been down around 245, 249, somewhere in there. So that's how much it's jumped since this started. Not that that's horrible. I can live with that, but it's still what it is. The Suez Crisis of 56-57, which disrupted just under 10%. So that tells you the magnitude of what it is. Hey, Dusty, how you doing? Oil prices continued to soar on Monday as the Iran war intensified. And we know this, and so around the world. The price of a barrel of oil briefly surged to $119.50 per barrel on Monday. That's way higher than we were. About $10 more than we had heard on some of those. It's the highest level since the summer of Russia invaded Ukraine in 22. West Texas Intermediate, which is produced in the U.S., also soared to $119.48 per barrel at one point. The conflict has not only taken offline a historically high share of global supply, it has simultaneously disrupted the primary holders of spare capacity, the Rapidan analyst said. Quote, the result is a market with no meaningful cushion. There is no swing producer position to step in, they said. Those prices fell under the $100 mark later Monday, but that's still much higher than the roughly $70 a barrel crude was selling before the U.S. and Israel launched the war against Iran on February 28th. And so, now the president has said he's got a lot of options, and they're, uncovering every stone they can. Let's see. Let me come back to that one. I want to continue on this. This came out today that Trump has left open the door to seize Iranian oil, much like they have in Venezuela. Good evening to you, Dusty. NC says, I just bought a vehicle this year runs on premium, so I'm extra screwed. Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of a guy that bought a car one time. It was a big old, he was going to pull his camper, and he went out when diesel, remember when diesel was cheaper than regular gas years and years ago? We're talking 20-something years ago. And right after they bought it, it flipped. And, man, he said, I got screwed. But I don't drive much, so I'll be okay. Unless you count driving Dave crazy. That's right. He didn't rule out the possibility of the president, that he could seize Iranian oil as the war against Tehran continues, signaling that the regime must be stripped of its ability to threaten the U.S. and its allies in the Middle East. Boy, wouldn't that be a sticker to Russia? They buy Russian oil off, and they do trades and all that, but they help each other. I mean, that would be some crap right there. In comments to NBC News, Trump declined to directly endorse such a move, but made it clear it has been discussed. Quote, certainly people have talked about it, end quote, he told NBC. The president then pointed to Venezuela as an example. After a U.S. raid, place that took out Maduro, that they've been taking oil from there. In last month's State of the Union address, Trump said the U.S. had already obtained more than 80 million barrels of oil from Venezuela. You look at Venezuela, he told NBC, quote, people have thought about it, but it's too soon to talk about that, end quote. Any U.S. move involving Iranian oil would further strain tensions with China, which buys roughly 80% of Iran's crude exports. Now you want to get down the brass tacks of what's going on here? Now doesn't it become a little more clear? I'm not saying that all those things are not true that we needed to do, but you see what's going on. I mean, we know this, right? The behind the scenes. And I've only dealt with basically the war itself and what's going on. But when you pull back the curtain, you look at a lot of things, and people mention, Epstein and Israel and all of that. I get that. But also with that, what's Trump been trying to do? He's been trying to corner the market on oil. He's been trying to corner the market on resources, natural resources, those precious metals and things like that. Getting places set up around the world, to get a hold of those, including Ukraine, and cornering the market on that, at least putting a pinch on China. It's obvious of what we're seeing here. I hope they take control of the Iranian oil if Israel keeps blowing it up. So there you go. Asked whether he would endorse Senator John Cornyn. Now, this big race out in Texas. Remember, we had Alexander Duncan on a year ago almost. I guess probably was a year ago. Who was running for the seat, Republican Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton in the Republican primary for Cornyn's seat. Trump said his focus remains elsewhere. So he refused to endorse. I'm focused on one thing. By the way, Alexander Duncan is America first. He's a veteran. He's a guy that speaks all the right things, and you would love him, broski. If you're not following Alexander Duncan on X, you should. You will love what he has to say. I promise you. He's talking about de-exporting the heck out of here, all these in America that are against us. Not just if they're citizens or not. You know what I mean. Like I said, I'm focused on one thing, and that's the vote on the Save America Act. He stressed the importance of passing the bill, which would require proof of citizenship nationwide to register to vote, among other provisions. In Georgia, by the way, they overruled paper ballots. I've seen that happened. It's not going to happen this year. It was a pretty close vote, but there were some Republicans that voted that down in Georgia. The legislation has passed the House, but faces steep odds in the Senate, where 60 votes are needed to overcome a filibuster. Asked whether Congress will pass the bill, Trump replied, "I don't know. Nobody is doing much on it." He added, "Until they do, I'm not doing anything." He also criticized, obviously, Khamenei, the election or the selection of him. And then over the weekend, he attended the transfer of remains. So they're great people. It's always tough. There was another thing that was said today. I want to see if they're showing that. I saw this earlier today, and I don't see that sitting there. There was talk about strategic oil reserves across the world might possibly be released by many nations to help, which we've already been through that. But he was talking about Europe. So I'm not sure. I don't see that right now, but there was a little talk about that. So we'll see. Yeah, here it is. U.S. has oil sale from reserve. U.S. considering selling oil from strategic reserve. And we already went down this. Wasn't this oil, is it not even fully restocked? But I heard them talk about across the world as well. So I'm pretty sure I did. Chris Wright, U.S. Energy Secretary, said the U.S. is considering, because they're trying to get these prices back down. It's bad for the midterms. Considering coordinating sales of oil from the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which releases from other countries as prices soared during the war in Iran, with releases from other countries. So I did see that. Wright, speaking at a natural gas plant in Colorado, said that the U.S. was not considering imposing restrictions on exports of U.S. energy as a way to control prices. Global and domestic oil futures settled at the highest level since August 22. We saw that. So there was a little bit of talk today about that. And Israel vows missile escalation. That's not a shock. They're going to talk tough anyway with the selection of their new leader. I wonder where his office is at. Pam Bondi ended the auto pen investigation. Gosh almighty. I haven't heard that, broski. Thanks for sharing. Could we just get Pam Bondi out of there? I mean, really? I tried to say when she was being propped up out there, let's just say it. Sometimes, and I'll be one, I won't say everybody, sometimes men can be stupid. It's not a shock, right? They looked at her attractiveness. I had people tell me this. They looked at her attractiveness and said, I just love her. She's going to be great. I said, what are you based that on? She's just, you didn't have great answers. They're just looking at her. I mean, she's going to be great. What a great selection. I said, I would be careful with this one. Of all that he selected, that was one of the two that I said, I'm not sold on. The other was Kash Patel. And I said, I'm just not down with those two selections, but I'll support the president. Today, I responded to somebody. I guess we're friends on Facebook. I'm probably not now. He probably kicked me out of the club. It's okay. And another one of those who were posting that when oil prices went up, would MAGA fully be destroyed? I'm like, man, the TDS, man, they're so sick. And I'm like, and all I responded, I said, listen, this is not the first time that oil prices have went up. We understand how it works. We don't like it, but we're okay. We understand. As long as it doesn't go to a crazy number, Americans will absorb and adjust their finances, whatever they have to do for the extra cost. It's not going to destroy support. I mean, people will grumble about it, but I mean, they're not abandoning it. People are so, I don't know if he's liberal or I don't know, but I'm like, no, I said the better question would be, this is what I said, the better question would be drill, baby, drill. Why are we even involved with any kind of oil from the Strait or anything like that? Let's set our own prices over here. What the heck with them? They're letting the little head tell the big head what to do. Yeah. Brigadier General Majid Musavi said the force and frequency of Iranian missile launches will increase as the country continues to expand its missile capabilities. Really? I didn't know they expanded. I thought it had been, I thought it had shrunk. Iran's state-run Islamic Republic news agency reported. He said Iran also plans to deploy significantly heavier payloads on its missiles as part of an effort to strengthen the country's deterrence strategy. This guy just put his head. Remember the deck of cards from the Gulf War? There's a lot of the deck already done. This guy just put his face on an ace. Well, maybe the leader's on ace. He's on a jack or a queen or something. This guy, go ahead and run that mouth, Brigadier General. From now on, no missiles will be launched with warheads lighter than 1 ton, according to remarks carried by IRNA. The commander said the shift reflects Iran's efforts to upgrade the destructive power of its missile arsenal. Couldn't we just find out where all the missiles are at, big stockpiles of them, and just blow the crap out of it? Can you imagine the fireworks that go off if we could do that? Iran has spent decades developing one of the largest missile programs in the Middle East, which Iranian leaders say is necessary for national defense and deterrence. Oh, sure. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Aerospace Force overseas. How would you like to have that title? What are you a part of? I'm part of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Aerospace Force. They oversee Iran's ballistic missile and drone programs, according to Reuters and the Associated Press, or AP for short. Iranian officials have repeatedly highlighted advances in the range and accuracy of their missiles, saying some systems are capable of striking targets across the Middle East. The U.S. and its allies have warned that Iran's expanding missile program threatens regional stability. So they're playing right in the hand of the Israelis and the Americans to say things like that. It's just like, okay, keep up the operation. I mean, if that's, if that's what the Brigadier General said, and I don't doubt that he did. The president and Vladimir Putin talked on a phone call today about Iran. Boy, I'd love to be a fly on the wall. Vlad, how you doing, man? And we still got to talk about that Ukraine thing going on over there. But love you, man. Hey, I know we kind of peed in your backyard here with Iran, but just give me a little space of time here. You'll get to set up your deals again. Christy Nome, 54 years old, and Pam Blondie, 60 years old, both attractive women for their age. That almost guarantees they were bad picks from the start. I mean, I'm telling you, people supported it. A lot of people supported it because they were really attractive for their age. You're right. And there's, well, we don't need them to be like her, but the look, I get it. Oh, man. She was a piece of work, Janet Reno. Here it is. There's a G7 considers emergency stock release. Saudi Arabia cuts oil output. And let's see what he said. Saudi Aramco has begun cutting output at 2 of its oil fields, adding to early reductions by Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates, UAE, as shipments continue to be blocked and they run out of storage. So they have to slow down the pumping. G7 finance ministers discuss releasing emergency oil stocks, and a final decision can be taken by the 7 countries' leaders later this week. The G7 is U.S., Japan, Germany, France, Britain, Italy, and Canada. The IAEA, which coordinates energy policies of Western and some industrialized nations, holds over 1.2 billion barrels of public emergency oil stocks and a further 600 million barrels of industry stocks. Wow, 1.8 billion barrels of oil. Boys, that's a lot of oil. The global supply has been cut by a combined 200 million barrels over the past 10 days. Over the weekend, Iraq cut its main southern oil fields by 70% to 1.3 million barrels per day. The Kuwaiti Petroleum Corporation began cutting output on Saturday. Saudi Arabia is diverting crude exports by pipeline to the Red Sea, while Iranian, which that's amazing they got that, While Iranian threats of attack keep traffic into and out of the Gulf at an almost complete standstill. Hundreds of tankers sit idle inside the Gulf and just outside its southern Strait of Hormuz. So this is going to be the story. Chuck Schumer, Senate Majority Leader, called on the president to sell oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Japan, which imports around 95% of its oil from the Middle East. Japan, why would you do that? Really? Why would you celebrate? I mean, why would you do that? Why would you 95%? You would put your eggs in that barrel? No pun intended. They've instructed a National Oil Reserve storage site to prepare for a possible crude release. Vietnam removed import tariffs on fuels, and Bangladesh shut universities to conserve electricity and fuel. South Korea put price caps on fuel for the first time in nearly 30 years. This is how much is impacting the world. China has asked refiners to halt fuel exports and to try to cancel shipments that were already committed. Qatar, the world's second largest exporter of liquefied natural gas. I didn't know that. Well, you know why we're buddy-buddy with Qatar? Also halted exports. Even if the U.S. places warships in the strait to defend shipping, the route would remain too dangerous. Qatar's energy minister, Syed al-Kaibi, or Kaibi, told the Financial Times in an interview published on March 6th. French President Emmanuel Macron, speaking in Cyprus on Monday, said France was deploying about a dozen naval vessels to the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, and potentially the Strait as part of a defensive support to allies threatened by the war. Yes, billions. I don't know about Chuck Schumer, but Chuck Schumer, corny. Chuck Schumer, he has a tumor. Oh, amazing times we live in. I mean, think about it. We just don't see things like this all the time. At least Israel took care of their business, in 67 in 6 days, the 6-Day War. Could we not have the 12-Day War? To be done. Oh, let's see. Trump's son's back in the news. They back a new U.S. drone venture. Well, they're throwing some money out there right now. Chuck Schumer. I like that. Yeah, I would wonder about that too, Broski. who is France going to? Whoops. There we go. Who is France going to defend in the Med? Could France defend? Oh, yeah. Okay, Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. are backing Patriot, a Florida-based drone company aiming to capitalize on rising Pentagon demand for American-made systems and a growing push to reduce reliance on Chinese technology, according to a Wall Street Journal article. Patriot, headquartered in West Palm Beach, what's a great place to have it? That's where they are. Is merging with Arenas Greenway Holdings, a publicly traded golf course holding company also backed by Trump-linked investors. The reverse merger will allow Patriot to trade on NASDAQ in the coming months and access public capital markets as it scales production. The deal highlights the increasing role of domestic companies in a rapid expanding drone sector as the United States seeks to strengthen national security, supply chains, and reduce dependence on Chinese manufacturers that have long dominated the global drone market. War Department officials have warned for years that the U.S. forces rely too heavily on Chinese-made systems, raising security concerns about data access and supply chain vulnerability. The Pentagon Drone Dominance Initiative, DDI, I guess, the PDDI, or whatever you want to call it, DDI, aims to spend roughly $1.1 billion, where's that word again, billion, to acquire hundreds of thousands of U.S.-made drones by 2027, creating major opportunities for domestic manufacturers. Investors in that venture include American Ventures, an investment vehicle linked to the Trump family, and Unusual Machines, a drone components company in which Donald Trump Jr. is both a shareholder and advisory board member. Patriot is also a customer of Universal Machines. You wash my hand, I'll wash your hand. France only deploys its military in order to practice retreating whenever the Germans show up. Oh, yeah, fastest way to get the French over there is tell them the Germans will be there soon. True. South Korea's government or corporate governance improvement fund has reportedly invested $50 million in the company. Patriot CEO Andrew Fox said going public will help the company expand manufacturing capacity and acquire additional drone business. There's a lot more there, but that's interesting. I had not heard about that. So business deals happening in the all over the place. I hate polls, but every once in a while I like to mention one. There is a new poll that says Trump is losing ground with young men. Are there really men? Are they young men? Men, or are they young males? I mean, they're throwing that word man around. Just saying. Some. These men, these young men, and they're using college age young men. They criticized overly harsh immigration enforcement, frustration over rising prices, and the polling suggests the Republican president is losing ground with young men. The shift appears to be part of a broader dissatisfaction with Trump's policies, which the midterms are on the way, but I wouldn't worry about that too much. Honestly, young men. In February 25, 43% of men aged 18 to 29 approved of his performance. Last month, that number fell to 33%. Trump won with 46% of young male voters in the 24 election. That was a 7-point increase compared with 2020. These polls are going to fluctuate. People are going to be much more frustrated when they hear that. When there's it's like the guy in Iran. Well, I will support the Americans until I can't get gas. I mean, it's what's right in front of you. If you can't get your supplies, if you can't go anywhere, if you got no fuel, if your heat's out or your air conditioning's out, or you lose your job. I mean, all those things are going to affect voter confidence and support. I would say if we can get this wrapped up, get things moving ahead. I mean, it's always the economy. I mean, it's really not any. The other issues are important, but it's the economy which really brings to bear some of the frustrations that the voters get because they're living in the moment. General Clark says we must create conditions for coercive deployment. Sorry, my granddaughter is wanting my keys. She has locked herself out of the house. Don't lose my keys. I knew when she showed up twice that something was going on. First time was for to take her somewhere. Retired Army General Wesley Clark said men of the United States must create the conditions necessary for coercive diplomacy to force Iran towards negotiations over its nuclear and missile program. He said the opening phase of the operation followed a familiar pattern for modern air warfare. Initial strikes are designed to penetrate defenses. I mean, come on. Do we think everybody here is in kindergarten? I think we know that. Dismantle critical leadership and military infrastructure. Now he said the U.S. must intensify pressure on Tehran while shaping the broader strategic environment. It seems to me, General Clark says, there's 3 or 4 things still on the table. Number one is we have to continue to generate targets for the aircraft that will put more and more increasing pressure on the Iranian regime. This guy was a general. I mean, I get it. Some people may need to hear that. I think we pretty much said that in this program. He also pointed out to the strategic importance of maintaining oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz. Can I be a Fox advisor or something, or one of them, whatever he's on? Number 2, that should be number 3, bad article. We've got to do something to get oil out of the strait. So I guess that's number 2 because he's combining those. Duh. Another key element he said is preventing outside powers from assisting Iran during the conflict. Hey, Brent Brotman, how you doing, bud? Horsepower coffee. I'll show you can in a minute here. I think we have number 3. I think we pretty much understand that. We need to make sure we isolate the country so China and Russia are reinforcing and assisting. True. The retired general said the broader goal is to force Iran's leadership to conclude it has no viable alternative but to come to the table and negotiate. That's what we did to the Japanese when they met on the ship. They had no other choice. Well, they did. It was burn in hell. I mean, seriously, not trying to be crass, but that was the point. I mean, it's surrender or burn, because that was where it was at. I think I mentioned this before when I was in college. I was in this class. I'm sure it was some sort of a social studies type class. I don't remember what it was called. They always have big names for those. I had to do a paper on the dropping of the bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and whether that it was right to do. You know, so they gave some points on it. About that. I did a essay on it. It wasn't extremely long. I did an essay, but the gist of my essay, and I got an A. The gist of my essay is that I don't think that I can answer that question from 2020, or it was 2018 or 19 when I did that, because I went back to school. I said, however, I will answer from the military veterans who were in the military at the time from my church. And every single one of them said it was the right thing to do. We didn't want to die. We wanted to come home. And we knew that was the only way. And they knew, they had already all heard how deadly it was going to be to send the military, the forces into that bay, Tokyo Bay. They were ready. They had laid that thing with so much explosives, it would have been mass carnage. And they all supported it. And they considered Truman one of the best presidents ever because he had guts to do it. This is what these military men said. One naval, one army, and one was, what was he? I can't remember now. I think he was army as well. So 2 army and 1 navy. And they said, right thing to do. So I would just take them at their word on that. So we'll see. Let's get a couple more articles in. We're going to be doing Cornbread Nation now, Biscuit Boy. It's been a little bit after 7. I'm trying to make this like nightly news program. So just trying to get things back on track. I've been meaning to do it anyway. Just things got in the way. Let's see what else is kind of floating around out there as we look at news for the day. What about Mandami? Just your thoughts. Mandami, you think do you think his support has went up or down in the short time that he's been in that position? Do you think? They're looking at things his wife said after October 7th, and there's some things that he's done. There's some things he's done that some people's liked. There's things that he's done that people have not liked. But do you think that that he is, I'm not saying he's doing a good job, but I'm saying, do you think his support level has changed? And XIDF, that's the Israeli Defense Forces spokesperson, says to Newsmax that U.S. and Israel have destroyed 70% of Iran's missile launchers. That's great news. Now, if we can knock out the other 30. I wonder if they bought them on market. I wonder if they made them. You're crazy, NC. But I wonder that. Did they make the missile launchers in Iran, or did they buy them from someone else? I don't know the answer to that. It'd be interesting if you destroy them and we shut off what comes into the nation, could they even build them? I'm sure it is. And this is what NC said. Communism never wrong. Mandami forever. People fear China because they're big now. People fear Vietnamese because of the war there. And the crazy stuff they would do. However, the Japanese are truly the craziest in Asia. I don't understand them sometimes. China is scared of them. Interesting thoughts there. Interesting thoughts. But if we have taken out 70%, that's a good thing. If we're going to accomplish the mission. They say that the missile and drone launches have fallen sharply as they have knocking out these launchers. That's good. And it does seem as though there's not as much news about things blowing up and catching fire due to these things. It has dropped more than 80% according to analysis and military briefings. They believe that the overall launching of these missiles and drones is falling 80%. Let's see. There is still incoming attacks. Yes, Israel was hit, as I said yesterday or today, however you want to look at it. 2 civilians were killed. Let's see, 14 injured in that latest attack. And that's somebody's family. So I'm not saying it's just 2 or 4. That's people. That's human beings. But, I would say in the country, Bibi's numbers are running pretty strong among his support base for what's going on. New York deserves Mandami. That's my thoughts on that. They can deal with him. Yeah, I don't want anything to do with him. I'm not inviting him to the local I'm not inviting him to the podcast. I don't want that. He would never come on anyway. That'd be some crap if I got Mandami on the podcast. So, when did you start hating America? The interview to be over. Whatever happened to New York? I mean, really. I asked this the other day. What happened to New York? There's a lot of tough guys there. How did the mafia, who's still around, how did they allow this to happen? I mean, really? What? I mean, there's no way they've got to be for this guy. I wouldn't think. I mean, what the heck? If Israel's prime minister was a rapper, he would be BB spitting at you, Yahoo. Spitting Yahoo. The president has asked for a pardon for him. And then the Wyoming governor signs ban on abortions after about 6 weeks, cites misgivings. Mark Gordon on Monday signed a ban on abortions after embryonic cardiac activity can be detected. This is a quote-unquote heartbeat bill. I mean, isn't that what this is talking about? Generally detected after about 6 weeks of gestation and often before women know they are pregnant. The signing makes Wyoming the 5th state to ban or bar elections at that stage of pregnancy, along with Florida, Georgia, yes, Iowa, and South Carolina. 13 other states bar abortions at all stages of pregnancy, with some exceptions. Gordon, a Republican, said in a letter to lawmakers Monday that he has some misgivings about the law he signed because it does not include exceptions for pregnancies caused by rape or incest. And the act does not align with my pro-life stances and the concern for specific vulnerable populations. And he goes on to say some other things, but that's some important news right there, especially in the pro-life crowd. And so, hey, there's Biscuit Boy.
Biscuit Boy in the house.
Biscuit Boy in the house. Let's see here. There is another article. We'll end with this. We're coming up on the end. A report that a Russian device may explain the Havana syndrome. Or Havana, however you want to say that. Havana. Undercover U.S. agents obtained a mysterious Russian weapon that could help explain a cluster of brain injuries suffered by American diplomats, intelligence personnel, and military officers for nearly a decade, according to a report Sunday on 60 Minutes. I never watched 60 Minutes, so I missed some of their stuff. They used to be really good, I think, but they just got so bad.
One time they were.
At one time. The incidents have been referred to as Havana syndrome, a term that emerged after early cases were reported among U.S. diplomats stationed in Cuba. The broadcast reported the undercover Department of Homeland Security agents secretly obtained the suspected device through a Russian criminal network in a Pentagon-funded operation that cost about $15 million. The device is described as a miniaturized microwave weapon designed to operate silently and could be concealed while targeting individuals from a distance. Well, that's a nice thought.
No joke.
Researchers said the device generates a pulsed electromagnetic signal capable of penetrating building materials such as windows and drywall and affecting brain tissue. The pulsed energy signal has been cited as a possible explanation for sudden neurological symptoms reported by hundreds of American personnel stationed overseas and within the U.S. since at least 2016. Some of those issues have been vertigo, hearing loss, migraines, vision problems, and cognitive impairment. You reckon that was what was wrong with Biden? Maybe they get to him? The device has been undergoing testing for more than a year at a U.S. military laboratory. Experiments involving animals reportedly produced, Peter won't like that, and produced injuries similar to those described by people reporting Havana syndrome symptoms. They described reviewing the classified security footage that allegedly captured incidents involving Americans experiencing sudden neurological distress. One video described during the broadcast reportedly shows two FBI agents seated with their families at a restaurant in Istanbul suddenly grabbing their heads in pain after a man carrying a backpack entered. Another video from the U.S. Embassy in Vienna allegedly shows two individuals collapsing in a stairwell leading to a secure facility.
Huh.
We've been hearing about this for some time. Wouldn't that be some crap if that's what, where that came from?
It would be.
Interesting.
It would be.
So.
What a beautiful sunset behind us.
It is, isn't it? I do love that.
My.
I don't know how good that does on the screen. It kind of makes it wider, but
right.
I still like the water coming in. So, Maybe I'll choose a different one, change the coloring on a little bit. But I like the waves.
Oh, most definitely.
And there's Biscuit Boy.
Oh, wow, you got my ugly mug on here. What's up?
That's our Patriot Nation news for tonight. We're going to be back shortly. Mark Levine, the radio TV host, went there as well. Okay. I think that's important. I mean, we've been hearing about that, and we know our enemies are always trying to create things to hurt us.
And that's the truth.
And so we got to be on, investigating these things. That'd be interesting. Can you imagine you could be in a hotel room and the next room could be just like meth or something? I mean, it's making you sick. It's making you sick.
I want to tell you what, I've literally been Jack's River. You know where Jack's River falls?
Yeah.
Me and a friend of mine went camping up there one time, and we should have had we should not have had what we had with us, but we had a large amount of alcohol. We were planning on staying there the whole weekend, fishing, drinking, whatever. Anyway, game warden came by, thought we were cooking meth inside the tent. He had already busted 2 people that month cooking meth inside of a tent way back out in the woods.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Wow.
You never know where that stuff's being cooked.
You never know. You never know. There's Broski's. It'll be his last statement for tonight or on the show. Then, I went to high school in a school district close to mine. We played them in sports. Cheltenham High School. Reggie Jackson went there as well. So did rapper Little Dicky.
Can't see.
Cheltenham.
Cool.
Bird up. You're funny, man. You're funny. All right, we're going to get off here. We're going to get ready for the Cornbread Nation show. We'll be back around 7:30.
Somewhere around in there.
Give us time to do that. So thanks for watching. Stay with us each day. We will try our best to have the nightly news. Patriot Nation news.
Yep.
Let's get some music.
Sorry, I was
on.
late.
Well, you had a busy day, had a lot going on, and that's going to happen.
Got my Jeep back.
Got his Jeep back, so that's a good thing.
Didn't cost anything either. That's a good thing.
That is a real good thing. All right, my friends, let me get music on, and then we will I'll reboot my computer. What do you think?
Oh.
And it's running a little slow. Peace out.
Not a big storm for me.
Yeah. Bean, take care. We'll be